Hey guys, what's up? This is Chris Jordan from Omnidek. If you are watching this video, that means that you are on the Omnidek IT Guide page. So this page is devoted purely to kind of the tips and use cases of Omnidek for the IT guy and where the advantages lie as far as implementing new technology today, implementing future technologies, future process improvements at your company, what all opportunities you'd have available to yourself once you've got your company on the Omnidek platform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through just a high-level summary of what our platform does and from an IT perspective, where those advantages lie. So I'm at omnidek.com. You're there too. I guess so feel free to read more articles about it and explore more. But to kind of give you a brief overview, we are a light version of what is probably promised in the idea of SharePoint, but out of the box and not a low-code application, but a true no-code application. So from the IT guy's perspective, this almost allows you to create this real safe playground that's secure, single sign-on, that kind of stuff. However, it can be administered from the departmental level. So if the department wants to implement a process improvement, just like they can create an Excel spreadsheet today, they can do the same thing inside of Omnidek. And this effectively offers decentralization of workload and kind of letting them kind of fine tune whatever they want. However, they're still within the confines of the secure playground that's on the Azure cloud, right? So we are a portal builder. We have both intranet portal and even extranet opportunities as well if you wanted to take it that far. But to kind of go through just real quickly what it is that we do, I'm going to kind of get myself shrunken down there, is that we offer this idea of the assembly line of work. So this is completely juxtaposed to what you see primarily in larger apps like Zoho. They have a whole bunch of different apps just underneath one umbrella, right? Odoo is kind of the same way. So there's some large business process management style applications, even SharePoint widgets. I mean, it kind of gets convoluted a little bit because they're just bolt-ons to this single web ecosystem. The issue with that is that they still require the same training apparatus and they become disjointed a bit. Even through API integrations, they're still disjointed. What we recognize, though, with Omnidek is that most business processes, if not all business processes, primarily initiate with somebody requesting something or initiating a form, a group of people looking at it, and then it being reported on, and then more importantly, available through an API for importing back into an existing business system through a routine. So what we recognize is that, if we could just provide the assembly line, right, the mechanism of moving the information through your enterprise, we're creating a single forms library, a single inbox to affect and approve with work process. And then we have a single reporting tool that once I train them on the employee base on the 3 basic functions of the application, they can implement anything that they want. There's no training required. We can implement enormous advantages here. I'll get into some of the statistics here in a bit, but this is an enormous time saving for the IT department because we're not managing 10 different business apps. We're just managing the assembly line and people's ability to kind of understand where they fit in on that assembly line and what their opportunities are for visualization of that. So how do companies implement Omnidek? Well, it's super simple. If you wanted to try Omnidek, there's a little trial button up here. We get you hooked up with a data genius. And what a data genius does is that we understand how Omnidek works and we understand business process, and then we mold it to whatever the requirements you guys have. So in the 2-hour session, we're going to build a first form for you. If you bring one to the meeting, we're going to build the first one for you in our drag and drop wizard. It's super easy. We can show you how to do calculations. I'll show you how to hook them to spreadsheets, hook it up to data sources, multiple data sources if need be. We're going to be able to show you how to do that in the meeting, and then we're going to flip the controls over, and then you're going to be able to do it. So whether you wanted to centralize that form building mechanism in IT, or you wanted to decentralize it by training other people inside of the company, it's all fair game. There's no additional cost per workflow. It's designed to allow you to consume as many of these forms as you would want, produce as many valuable process improvements as necessary, and you can implement those as needed throughout the lifespan of the application. So step one is really getting you confident on how to build forms and initiate the work processes inside of the company. Then once we build the forms with you, we're actually going to build work processes. And work processes start with the hierarchy of the company. So it's effectively putting people into buckets, if you will, and then letting it flow up the hierarchy through work processes. So those are available as conditions in the workflow. That helps these real complex workflows become very simple because it's all going to a manager based upon conditions. But what's super cool about our workflow, although it's fairly complex, not to set up, but as far as conditions based upon the form, following different workflows, what makes it super, super cool is the fact that the engine or the mechanism that we're actually doing workflow in is group chat. So we've probably already looked at Slack or Microsoft Teams as alternatives to email or ways to better communicate inside of the company to kind of reduce that email cost. Well, if you look at those applications, they kind of forgot something, which is effectively the subject matter of the conversation that they're having with all the parties involved, right? So what we get right in Omnidek is that the conversation is limited to the business process, right? So we're all having a conversation, but we're having it about the service request, or we're having it about the particular work ticket that we're actually talking about, right? And then here I can approve it. So what this means is how it impacts on the IT level is that everyone knows how to group chat because they're doing it already, right? So this opens up a tremendously easy way for you to train how to use the system, because it's 3 buttons. That's the people you're talking to, and they know how to group chat, right? The biggest worry is people using Bitmoji too much, I think, in the chat dialogue. But this gives you a very clean, secure alternative to internal email, but it's all part of the audit log that's actually going to be residing with this document once it's stored, which is a tremendously bigger advantage than what you have with paper in the Windows folder structure for content management strategies down the road. Now, the last piece, this is super, super cool, is that this is really the next generation of the idea of search and retrieval. See, search and retrieval that we have in our content management systems today or our Windows folder structure is me just Google searching files on a server with descriptions and maybe a few meta tags, maybe if I'm in a content management program. In Omnidek, every piece of data that we can commit to an Omnidek form is subscribable and conditionable based upon the user. Now, I can administer these globally. So if I wanted to allow everybody to see their expense report, I could put the security that they can only see themselves, and I can share it with 5,000 people. We see that with large enterprises. So we leverage the security on the asset to only show what's visible to the user. However, they're also self-created. So as long as they have access to a particular asset type or grouping, then they can actually build their own queries just by selecting what form they're interested in, checking off the questions and answers that they care about, and then being able to set conditions. Like, I'll give you an example. Maybe if I'm the chief financial officer, I only want to see purchase requests if they're over a certain dollar amount. This isn't even workflow. This is just me subscribing to the things that happen underneath me because I'm at the top of the chain, right? If I want to see, if I'm a safety supervisor, I only want to see a daily report if a level 3 safety infraction or higher is made, right? So these are the kinds of things that Insights now shows you in real time, and it reduces this need to be able to copy 10 different people on an email. People just, through the basic functions of filling out the forms and reporting back from the field or from different work processes, they see the things that they care about, but they see it in real time, and it's super, super easy to set up. Now, this is the overview of what Omnidek is. I definitely encourage you, if you want to jump into the software and give it a test run, this is a free trial link there that you can go to. But just to kind of end this thing, what I wanted to show you is that these are the big 3 reasons why IT would want to implement Omnidek inside of their company. There's a stat not on here, but Gartner reports that the average company spends $700 per month per employee on technology. Now, that's everything from the server to the emails to the training to your salary as the IT guy, plus all of the people that help you out and maintain the enterprise. They average $700 per employee. Obviously, the bigger the company, it goes down a little bit per employee on technology. So there is a lot of room for affecting that. And what you're going to see through these basic key statistics is that we eat against that significantly. So the first of which is that we have the capacity, by consolidating as many business processes as you can into the new enterprise portal built on the Omnidek platform, you're reducing up to 50% of your SaaS costs because you're eliminating apps that maybe you would have to buy in the future or maybe have already bought, and then you can just recreate the same processes inside of our system. I'll give you a few big ones that we see all the time. Slack and Teams, we're an alternative to business chat and communication. Task management, mild inventory, equipment asset tracking, timekeeping, expense reporting. Those are just the first ones. And then you get into portals like HR portals, subcontractor portals, pre-qualification portals. All of those things you can recreate your own. It's just questions and answers for the most part, because it's all the data's got to get back into ERP anyway. So what we do is we just provide a really slick API that you can tap into and do whatever you want distribution wise to be able to get back in. And if you don't have the resources to do that, we have professional services that can help provide those kind of beginning to end processes for you. Now, the most important stat, and we really harp on this, is that we offer a 90% reduction in the time and cost it takes to implement not only the first process, but also the ongoing process improvements that your departmental managers want to implement in the future. This is where that $700 on average per user per month the company spends. That's where this is happening, because now whenever I want to implement anything new for my department, it doesn't have to go through the bureaucracy all the way up to ownership to get to buy an app and review 10 vendors. It now can be handled in the same way that we implement something in Excel or in Word. It's the same concept. We just implement that there. So these are tremendous cost savings, because remember, it's just the assembly line. It's someone filling out a form. Who's going to look at it? And then how do we want to report on that data moving forward? So that's where the big value add is on IT. Tremendously easier thing to manage. And because that public API is there, you can do anything that you want to have access to it, and everything's being resided and secured on the Azure cloud. Now, lastly, and this is one of the most important things too, over time, is that there's a 70% reduction in overall email. We're not just talking about internal, we're actually talking about external as well. I alluded to it a little bit whenever we were talking about the portal aspect, but whenever we're having these conversations here with the people that are involved in the process, because we're also an extranet portal and built like a network, we can actually include not just the employees, but even the people that are the vendors and the customers and the patients and the whoever in the actual business process itself too. It's fully audited, fully controlled. They can only see certain questions. They can only write to certain questions. Others are read only. So this offers a secure way of data sharing, but also doing work together. It's kind of our hashtag. So this is really where the big value add is in our companies, that we're providing tremendous advantages because of our no-code architecture, our ease of chat, our ease of dragging and dropping, and our ability to see things in real time, this real-time business portal. So I definitely encourage you, if you are interested in implementing a business portal at your company, maybe you're about fit to be tied with large-scale SharePoint implementations, or you don't have the resources to manage because of maybe changing business conditions, and you want to have something that's simple, dependable, something that you don't have to commit too much to, other than a couple of months effort to kind of get a bunch of business processes built up and started moving through your company. Omnidek is a good platform because it's a business utility that can fill in the gaps and help some of these ancillary work processes get some formality and put them into a place where now we can really experience some efficiency moving forward. But I think once you get on the Omnidek platform, you're going to want to use it for more and more just because of what all it's capable of doing. So my name is Chris Jordan. This is Omnidek, the business network, and I definitely encourage you, for more information, visit us at www.omnidek.com and click the free trial over here to get started, and we'll go ahead and set up your 2-hour complimentary training session with one of our Omnidek data geniuses. So thanks, and appreciate you checking us out.